Well, as we can hear through all the beeps, we got a lot of people joining. I'm going to try to allow the beeps to continue to let people in, and we'll get going here in, well, 2 minutes. One.
The good news is we can't hear the beep, so that's good.
Super, good to know. Zoom is very different when you're the administrator or presenter versus an audience member. So I'm figuring some stuff out here today. And thanks for joining us, Lisa and Dietrich and everybody, Jessica. So excited to hear from you guys today. Okay, let's see. We got to give it 1 more minute officially. All right, we are at the top of the hour, 12 o'clock noon, lunchtime. Welcome everybody to the version of the WMBA Washington State Housing Finance Commission quarterly lunch and learn. Today we're super excited. First of all, I'm the president of the WMBA, Andy McDonough. I want to thank Ken McDonald, our education chair, for helping us put this virtual lunch and learn together for us all. Big shout out to two people today, Lisa DeBrock and Jessica Talton. Thank you both for joining us. We're very excited to learn about this, I would say, innovative and new program that, in my role with the WMBA, I've been participating with some new DPA home ownership efforts, large groups of people working on this project in particular for many, many months. I don't know, Lisa, how many years even maybe? Um, yeah, yeah. So it's a lot of heavy lifting took place to get us to where we are today, where this product, this new program rolled out today in the state of Washington this summer. I believe it was July, but I'm going to turn it over to Jessica. Sorry, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa, and I'm going to let Jessica and Lisa share a lot of the exciting information, all the details about the new Covenant Homeownership DPA program here in the state of Washington. And you guys let me know if you need anything. We appreciate everybody joining us. I'd also like to point out real quick before I turn it over, Lisa, if you don't mind, Jessica has also stepped up and sponsored today's lunch and learn as well as movement. So thank you so much, Jessica. We really appreciate it. And can't wait to hear what you guys have to share today. So with that, I'm going to mute and take it away, Lisa.
Great. And thank you so much. As usual, a shout out, Andy, to you and Ken for including the commission and inviting us to be part of this lunch and learn. It's always great to be here, and it's nice to see so many of you on the call. A lot of familiar faces, a few new faces. So thank you for your interest in this program. So I have the honor of talking to you a little bit about, on a very high level, about the Covenant Homeownership Program. However, I want to spend most of my time featuring the wonderful Jessica Talton from Movement Mortgage, who truly has taken this program to a whole new level. So she's going to be sharing with you, I hope, today a little bit about her passion for the program and the families that she's assisted through this program, and how she's been able to open the doors to generational wealth for many families and many homebuyers who've been shut out in the past. So I have my contact information here, so you're always welcome to reach out to me before and after. And Andy, I believe the chat is open. Is that correct?
Yes, the chat is open. I'll be monitoring
Good.
questions.
Gotcha. And I have Dietrich here too, because I have a feeling there'll be lots of questions. So he may be answering some of the questions in the chat. For those of you who don't know Dietrich, he is our down payment assistant administrator here at the commission. He's been very busy doing lots of training on the Covenant program, as well as Karina Obar, our wonderful manager, who is on the call as well. And hopefully we'll be able to get to you. So would like to state that in terms of questions, we will wait to the very, very end after myself and Jessica. Promise we will leave some time to answer those questions as well. So Andy, go ahead to the next slide, please. All right, so the Covenant Homeownership Act, this is groundbreaking legislation. And if you haven't heard of it before, I encourage you to go to our website at wshfc.org. And this will be an introduction to it, but to read a whole lot more about the detail of this program because it is groundbreaking. We are the first housing finance agency in the entire country to be working on this kind of legislation. So the Covenant Home Ownership Act, it was bipartisan legislation that's addressing the legacy of housing discrimination in our state. And it had many key components, and the key components are listed here. It does provide a new source of funding from real estate recording fees. And you may have noticed that in January of this year, there is an additional $100 fee that is being collected on all real estate transactions. These funds go through different iterations. They go to the Department of Commerce eventually, and then they come to the Housing Finance Commission to administer this amazing down payment assistance program. Other parts of this Homeownership Act required a research study, which looked at the discrimination and its impacts and effective remedies. And then this study went on to recommend a new program to provide down payment assistance to homebuyers. Ultimately, this program has an oversight committee and it's at the Department of Financial Institutions, and they are part of this too. And I hope you're looking at the picture that's here. This was a picture of that happy day where our governor signed the bill into law along with some of our key stakeholders that maybe some of you recognize. Next slide, please. All right, so the study itself is 197 pages and it is on our website. And there is a 7-page summary of it as well, which you're welcome to look at. But really, the research study went into a lot of detail about the history of housing discrimination by the state that kept families from owning and building that generational wealth, how our harmful covenants shut families out, and how these impacts do persist today in the form of lower homeownership rates. So then it goes on to recommend program elements that can address disparities in the form of what's called a special purpose credit program, which is a very narrowly tailored program based upon the study. And we actually did a very large RFP. I'm hoping you cannot hear all that noise in the background. Can you hear that? Okay, good. We partnered with the National Fair Housing Alliance and their study partners, Apt Associates, as well as the Fair Housing Alliances locally within our state to work on the study. Go ahead to the next slide. Sorry, I can't hear over the noise and they'll almost be done. All right, so in the legislation, there are certain program parameters that were passed. We didn't invent this program ourselves. It did come from actual legislation. And it stated that this should be a down payment assistance loan and not a grant that is repaid upon the sale or transfer of the property. This is for owner occupied homes only. And there are some individual criteria, which I'll give you a very high level of, but for the home buyer, they do need to be Washington residents. They do need to have their incomes at or below 100% of area median income. Those incomes are listed by county on our website at wshfc.org. The homebuyer does need to be a first-time homebuyer, and very importantly, which Jessica will attest to, they do need to have a long family history within the state of Washington. So go ahead to the next slide, please. All right, so the legislation was very clear about what we needed to do, and I'm going to read to you from this legislation. The homebuyer must be a Washington resident who was a resident on or before the enactment of the Federal Fair Housing Act, or was or would have been excluded from home ownership in Washington state by racially restrictive covenants on or before April 1968, or a descendant of the resident. So what we are seeing right now is mainly homebuyers who previously were here for a long time, or perhaps their parents or grandparents, so direct descendants. On top of that, the home buyer is required to show records that that document this. And these are typically vital records. We've seen a lot of birth certificates, death certificates. We've seen church records, and as the legislation states, military records, probate records, public records, a lot of census data. We've definitely seen newspaper clippings and other similar documents, but we do need to prove that the person was here prior to the passage of the Fair Housing Act. Next slide, please. All right, so then the study went on to recommend who would be eligible for this program. And the eligible groups include Black, Hispanic, Native American, Alaskan Native, Native Hawaiian, other Pacific Islander, Korean, or Asian Indian. And there were many, many families that were hurt by the harmful covenants in this state. But these particular races were selected based both on historic discrimination and current home ownership disparities. And the study also went on to say that further work needs to be done because there were, again, many families who were hurt by the harmful covenants. And this is a narrowly tailored program. So this is the first rendition of the program that we hope to maybe grow over time. The study also recommended that the down payment assistance should be a 0% interest loan. And the terms of this loan is very, very exciting because it's really meant to bridge the gap to home ownership, again, for families who have previously been shut out. So the maximum loan amount for this program is up to 20% down, not to exceed $150,000, plus applicable and customary closing costs if they're paid by the borrower. Next slide, please. All right, so as Andy mentioned, this is a new program. It was actually launched on July 1st of 2024, and I have been so overwhelmed by the wonderful results so far that this program has had. So we have closed, and you all should be very proud, we have closed 142 loans under this program, and this is since July 1st. Totaling 15.6 million in loan closings. On top of that, we have 56 additional loans as of this Monday that are reserved in our pipeline. And I want to let you know that of these loans, 42 of them belong to Jessica Talton, which is an amazing accomplishment for one person. And I also thought that you might enjoy seeing some of the pictures of the families we've assisted so far. We're trying to get as many pictures and stories as possible. And if you have closed one of these loans already and are interested, your home buyers interested in sharing, we are always collecting new pictures and new stories. Next slide, please. All right, so how to access this program. So homebuyers do work with one of the commission-trained lenders and loan officers. We do have over 120 companies and hundreds of loan officers that have been trained statewide. Dietrich, I think you're up to what, over 700 loan officers statewide who have been trained on this program?
Correct.
Correct, and growing. So, couple things. If your company is already a participating lender in this program, you do need to make sure that you have attended normal commission trainings, as well as an additional training on down payment assistance, which covers the covenant program. If your lending institution is currently not participating, you do need to have your corporate office apply to become a participating lender. All of that information can be found on our website. Karina Obar is always approving new lenders. We're always welcoming new lenders, and we would love to have you. But the key is the loan officers themselves do need to go through intensive training. This is not a normal program. There's a lot of moving pieces. You do not want to be promising a home buyer, and Jessica will attest to this, $150,000 in down payment assistance unless you've done your homework beforehand. That would be awful, right, Jessica? She's going to shake her head at me. So, loan officer training is required prior to the origination of a covenant home loan. And really, a good place to start, no matter where your home buyers are in the process, especially if you have home buyers who you've been working with for a long time. We do think it's always a good idea to call the homeownership hotline in our state. Their contact information here is here because they can help home buyers get connected with free and individual help, whether it's helping them with maybe their family history, helping them perhaps with additional credit issues and such. And we're so lucky in our state to have such a strong hotline. Next slide, please. So this loan works like any other loan that you have at the Housing Finance Commission. First step in the process, we always encourage homebuyer education classes. We want that homebuyer to attend homebuyer education. We want them well prepared. They will apply for a loan with one of our trained loan officers, again, over 700 and growing throughout the state of Washington. The borrower is going to apply for a commission first mortgage, just like any other loan that you may do, typically FHA, VA, USDA, Fannie Mae, or a Freddie Mac first mortgage using all the regular guidelines. And then, of course, the guidelines stated in the legislation. And the loan is underwritten by the lending institution. The commission does not re-underwrite these loans at all. We will approve the compliance portion of the loan as well as the family history piece that we've mentioned. And then the lender is the one who shows up at closing. They are showing up with the loan documents. They are funding that first and second mortgage. The commission is purchasing these loans after the fact. So that is the process. Same process as any other commission loan.
I have a
And we do
question.
the training. Yes, Kiana.
So when you say attend home buyer education class, does it have to be a Washington State Housing Federal Commission home buying class, or can it just be any?
Yeah, and thank you for the question, Kiana. And so it does need to be a commission-sponsored class. We do keep a full list of classes on our website. We offer virtual classes, in-person classes, and online. So there are many, many options for home buyers and hundreds of classes taught throughout the state. And Dietrich can type in the chat some links for you so you have them. And I appreciate all your questions. We will be answering all questions in the chat and any other questions you have after I want to give lots of time to Jessica. I believe that's the end of my slide presentation. Andy, go to the next slide. Let's make sure. Oh, yes, see, there you go. So actually, I'm just more than honored to have Jessica Talton here with Movement Mortgage. And Jessica, you have rocked this, as you know. You are a total superstar. Jessica even won a Friends of Housing Award from the commission for all of her intensive work that she's done within her community. And Jessica, I know that this program has some very deep personal meaning for you. And I was hoping that you could share with this group a little bit about what this program means to you personally and why you're involved with this program.
Yeah, so I got in mortgage originally almost 12 years ago because my mom purchased our family home with the first time home buyer program. And when we had some shifts in the market, there just weren't any resources in our community from people that looked like us, that were trusted advisors. And so I wanted to make that change and I wanted to be that change, which is why I even got in the business. And so when I heard about this program, I just knew I had to go all in because it was in alignment with my purpose and why I'm here and why I'm a mortgage originator. To me, the Covenant Home Ownership Program, it symbolizes hope and progression, especially in a world where home ownership can often seem out of reach for so many people, in particular, the community that I serve. And so I knew that I took on I felt I had to go out and like spread the gospel. Anyone that was willing to listen, I wanted to tell them about this program because that's how big it was. In my 12 years in being in finance, I've never heard of a program that gave clients, especially in underserved communities, 20% down payment and covered their closing costs. So who am I not to share that with everyone that's willing to listen to help change these lives? And so when you ask me what does this program mean, it symbolizes hope and progression.
Wonderful, Jessica. Thank you for sharing that. And, I know that this program, it's definitely changed your business tremendously. And I want to get to that point, but want to know really how has it changed the lives of the home buyers that you serve?
Oh, it's huge. It's making homeownership more affordable, right? Like having 20% down payment compared to some of the other traditional programs that may give up to 5%. It's huge. It makes being able to purchase a single family home more comfortable, especially with today's cost of living. Some of the clients that previously were pre-approved for maybe a condo or weren't able to find anything in their price point, now this opened up more options to them. Clients that have been in multiple offer situations, it's helped them be more competitive because they're no longer having to ask the seller to pay closing costs. It's getting people that could only find homes in Pierce County. Now they're eligible to purchase in King County because they have more purchase power. So it's just been a really big game changer for homeowners if they're conventional buyers removing mortgage insurance. So that also helps reduce the monthly payment. So it's just been huge.
Yeah, no, I bet. And really, we talked about some of the requirements, especially family history and such, but how do you prep your home buyers then for the extra work involved in this program? What do you do?
Yeah, so I have the initial consultation with all my clients up front. So I'm really intentional about setting expectations out of the gate when it, these upfront consultations with clients aren't your traditional consultations. It's really getting to know your buyer and their lineage, right? Getting to know their family story. Was their family actually born here in Washington? Did they relocate here? You get deep, right? And so you traditionally don't have to do that on a standard transaction. And so honestly, it helps you deepen the relationship with your client because now you know all of the stuff. You know about their grandmothers, their great grandmothers, their parents. And so I think when you take that time and have that deep dive initially, it makes the rest of the process easier for the client because at that initial consultation, my clients are walking away knowing exactly what documents they need to provide to me and exactly how to go get those documents if they don't already have them readily available. And I think that that's something that sets us apart. So for example, if I meet with a client and they tell me, that it was their grandmother or their parent that were the descendant, the person that was here before 1968, I'm asking questions. Did your grandmother go to high school? What did she do when she was here during that time? So that way the clients aren't left to have to figure it out on their own. We're making it very easy for them. And then we're giving them the resources and working alongside of them to get the documentation. Now, I'm not going to present this as if every single interaction is a cookie cutter deal and it's that easy. Some of them we do have to get a little bit deeper with, like the one we had today where I had to call Bonnie Watson, the funeral home, and get a copy of an obituary. So we just go above and beyond. And so our clients never feel like they're in it on their own. And our realtor partners definitely are not out chasing documents. We are doing that work.
Yeah, so speaking of real estate professionals, how are you working with real estate professionals for this program? And really, how are you getting the listing agents to accept these offers? They are more complicated. So
You want my secret
I
sauce?
know you've got a lot to say, Jessica.
Like I do with any time one of my clients is submitting an offer, I'm on the phone with that listing agent. I'm educating them around the program and I'm advocating for my client while doing so. A lot of the times, so first back up, I get with my buyer's agent, and when they're writing offers, we're doing that together, talking about what do we need for the client. Because in some cases, the program covers the closing costs, but there's some cases where the sellers are able to give some money. So we utilize that for a rate buy down to make things even more affordable for our clients. So we're having a powwow with the buyer's agent first. Then I go over to the listing agent once the offer's been submitted. I'm talking to that listing agent because a lot of times these clients have lower earnest monies. So I want to get on the phone with that listing agent to explain why that client has a lower earnest money and how this program, it's just like taking a cash offer essentially because we close it so quickly, making sure that we're telling the listing agent we've credit approved this client up front. we've already got the approval from the commission on their lineage documents. So we've done all the nitty gritty things up front to where once our clients go under contract, all we're needing to do is order that appraisal and maybe get an updated pay stub. So just basically educating the listing agent on the program so they're aware, because a lot of times they see 20% down, but they're not paying attention to that it's a DPA program. So they're expecting the client to have a larger earnest money. And so when they don't, it kind of makes a little fear come up on the listing agent side. So making sure that you're doing those calls when the offers go out to the agents is really crucial to advocate for your client and educate the listing agent.
And Jessica, then to just further elaborate, have you gotten, do you have any specific challenges you've had in getting the listing agents to accept the offers? Or is it just
Honestly, no,
normal?
I actually grow my business from those calls because a lot of times they're
Ah,
not even aware of the program. And so when I get to
okay.
educate them about the program, they're like, can you send me some literature on it? They're intrigued. But they start thinking about other clients that they have on the buy side that may be
Yeah.
able to benefit from this program. So I think that not only does it help your buyer when you advocate for them and get on the phone with that listing agent, it also helps your business because you're building other relationships for future business.
Yeah, gotcha. That makes total sense. So, I know I mentioned the 42 loans you've had, but I know you have a whole lot more in the pipeline that haven't even hit my reservation. And I know you're smiling. You can tell us that number, but what operationally have you done to keep up with the volume you have?
Honestly, it's all about systems, having adequate support from your leadership team. I'm fortunate enough to have really amazing leaders here to where when I kind of say, hey, we need more hands, we need more bodies, more support, they're giving me the space to hire. Originally, when I first started at Movement, I had 2 loan officer assistants and I now have 5. Um,
Wow.
So we have a squad and they're all trained on lineage documents. They're all proficient on the Covenant program because we want to make sure that our clients have their hands held the whole way through. If you can't get a hold of me, I have 4 other people that are here and ready to support. And so I think that that's a big part of the success is having the resources and the support and the systems and processes.
Definitely. So it takes a team, it takes a
Yes.
village. But what operational challenges have you had, maybe both at the branch level and perhaps at your corporate level?
Um, I don't I'm blessed in the sense of I can't think of anything major. I can say that when this first rolled out, because we closed the first one in the whole state, my ops team, right? It was a little bumpy, but not because the passion wasn't there. It just was a new program and we were the first ones to do it. And that's, you go through the bumps. But I'll say this, every person in this company that has interacted and touched these files, they're all in and they're all hands on deck. And when it launched within a few weeks, I think we had a well-oiled machine between our ops team and us. And
Mhm.
obviously with the help of the commission, you guys being willing to hop on calls with us and kind of, hey, what do you guys need from us to make things easier and better and getting that feedback. So I think that there really hasn't been any big bumps. I mean, we do loans and so things happen and we just keep moving and we close. So
That's great to hear. And I think for the loan officers here on the call, it's really important that you have that buy-in from your corporate office. You need to make sure that they are on board with the program. Most of our corporate offices that we work with are, but not all of them. So if you need any help in getting your corporate office involved, definitely reach out to myself, to Dietrich, to Karina. We're all here to help you. But speaking of that very first home buyer, Jessica did close the very first loan within the state, and our program opened on July 1st. Your reservation, Jessica, was either July 1st or July 2nd, but by July 15th, 15 days or actually less from the time of reservation, that loan was closed, which is uh, the speed is just crazy to me. So, what's your secret for getting these loans to close so quickly? And you've kind of touched upon it, but hoping you can elaborate a little bit more.
So we do not issue pre-approval letters that have not been through underwriting. We don't issue pre-approval letters that have not been approved by Washington State for the covenant documents. we don't want people to have a bad experience as much as we can control it, right? And so we make sure that we get all of our lineage documents up front. We submit them to the commission. We make sure that we have that email back from the commission saying that our client's fully approved. We push that file through our underwriting channels to get a credit approval from our underwriters. Once we get that and we collect the conditions from that credit approval, then we issue pre-approval letters, CC our realtor partners on it to make sure that they have a clear understanding of what counties that client is able to buy in, because that's another important piece of when you're working with your real estate partners issuing pre-approval letters, that you're very specific in this person can only buy in King County, or they're open to all counties. Because if you're just pushing out pre-approval letters and you're not telling them that, hey, this person makes too much money for Pierce County, and your realtor partner goes and puts them under contract in Pierce County, that could be a really bad experience for your client. And so I think the more hands-on you are with the customers, the more explaining you do and collaborating you do with your realtor partners, the more successful you'll be with the program.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you bring up a good reminder that, the income limits in each county are different. And your home buyer may qualify in one county, but not necessarily other counties, and making sure that that's really, really clear to the families you're helping. From your point of view, Jessica, what do you think has been the hardest part for you in terms of working with families using this program? And, I'm really also concerned about harm we may be causing to potential home buyers on this program.
Well, I think the first challenge we have to overcome is getting people to understand the program's real. It's not a gimmick. It's not too good to be true. And just kind of sharing some of the testimonies of the people that have already closed. In the very beginning, that was more challenging because we didn't have as large of a sample size. But when I can go to someone and say we've closed almost 50 of these transactions personally, since July 1, I think that was the biggest challenge initially. And I think now a challenge that we're facing, a lot of the clients that we're serving, they've been through some things, right? And so you can't necessarily go into these transactions in this community and treat it like your traditional mortgage transaction. It's a lot more care that has to go into these transactions, a lot more hand holding, a lot more detailed explanations behind the why we need certain things so that there's clarity. I think that we're unpacking a lot of trauma in some of these transactions. And so your title may be loan officer, but really you're a little bit of a counselor, you're a little bit of a friend, and all those sorts of things. And so I think that when you're working with clients, just keeping that in mind, that there are some sensitivities here when you're talking about people's family histories and maybe relationships that they didn't have with their parents, and helping them work through some of those things. And so I think I necessarily wouldn't call them challenges, because it's an honor that people trust us with that information and we can help them navigate through those things. But those are some of the complexities of the program.
Gotcha, gotcha. I want to shift the conversation just a little bit in terms of talking about, community and outreach, and really wondering, Jessica, from you, how you get, your community engaged in this program. Is there anything that you're special that you're doing?
I think honestly, it's just all the years of working in community, earning trust. And I think that just doing what's organic, like what we've always done, which is show up, provide resources. And it's all about educating. We're never asking for it, it's just educating. The more you educate people, the business will come. And so I think that when you have something like this big of a program, the more you can get out and get in front of people and spread the gospel, I call it, I think that the more fruitful you'll be, the more lives you'll change and the bigger impact you'll have. That's the best advice I can give, is get out and educate people, which is why we're here. And that's how you have the biggest impact.
Gotcha, gotcha. Is there anything in terms of marketing to potential clients that you're doing?
So I like social media. It's a way to get in front of people, in front of masses, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. And it puts you in front of people you've never met before. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but I'll be in the grocery store with my kids and people will walk up to us and talk about how big they've grown. And I don't even know these people, but they follow me on social, and you feel like you know people because you see them all the time on social media. some of my realtor partners I've never met in person. And then we finally meet and I forget that I've never met them in person because we have such a deep relationship through social and through the phone conversations. And so I think utilizing social media, I think that when you close on a transaction, if one person in the family qualifies, more than likely there's several other family members that qualify. So you can help a whole family tree with this program once you've helped one person. So I think social media, community events, showing up, being a resource, those are the things that you can do that cost you no money.
Gotcha, gotcha. Jessica, you mentioned that you've helped generations of families. So have you actually, worked the whole family tree of
Oh,
a
yes,
certain
that's what we
family?
do. Yeah, so the very first person that closed on the covenant loan, we closed her, and then the third person we closed was her brother. And so we typically would go through the whole family, and just help everyone that we can.
Wow. I mean, that's so what a feeling, right? That
Right.
happens. So, can you tell us a little bit more about, I know you have a lot of success stories, but can you pick out a couple of the more memorable, of not that I'm sure they're all memorable, but tell us
Right.
a couple of your success stories.
The most recent one that was really cool, it was a lady who came to me. She was introduced to me through one of my real estate partners who also works for King County. But long story short, the client said, Jessica, I've had your flyer for weeks and I just been looking at it. And she told me about a past experience she had with a different lender before this program, and it just didn't go well for her. She wasn't able to close on the house. And she told herself she would never try that again. That was just too much for her. She'll never do that again. And so she had been just sitting there with my flyer. And then her coworker, who's also a realtor, came to her and was like, have you heard about this program? And gave her my flyer. And she's like, I already have that flyer. So she felt like it was a sign from God that she needed to call me. And so she reached out and called me. And unfortunately, in the process of us pre-approving her, her sister passed away. And she ended up having a heart attack from the news of her sister passing away while we're trying to pre-approve her on this program. So I was able to walk her through this, let her get healthy, make sure this was as stressless as possible transaction for her. Long story short, we ended up closing this lady on her first home. Her husband has a food truck business, and so her realtor was able to find the perfect house on a nice piece of land that he could park his business truck. And this woman closed on her house. No matter the adversities that were thrown her way in the middle of this transaction, she didn't get distracted. She didn't let the health and the life things succumb her. She stayed focused on the long-term goal, which was home ownership and the bigger picture. And she did it. She closed on her home. It was very emotional, lots of tears and all the things. And then that was one. The other one I'll share, there was a young lady who didn't have the best, I'll say she had some trouble in her life in the past, right? And she was a single mom. Her child's father passed away from cancer. And she tried to buy a house in the past before, but would always look and never really go through with it. And then this program came. And she was like, she felt like, okay, I'm going to try this program. We were connected through the Urban League with her. And so we connected, we got her pre-approved, and here she is in that position again with the pre-approval letter. But the question is she really going to close this time? So she finds the perfect home. I'm coaching her through it. Like, come on, we got to pull the trigger. You said this home checks all the boxes, because people get scared, right? They go out and look, and when they find the one, they talk themselves out of it. So we're on a phone on a Saturday, talking her through all the reasons why she feels like now is not the time. Long story short, she put in the offer was accepted. There were some hiccups with the title from the seller side of the transaction where she could have used that as a reason to walk away and be like, nope, I'm just done. This is too much. But she didn't. She stayed in the game. And when she looked at the purchase and sell agreement, the name on the seller's last name was the same name as her child's father who passed away from cancer. So she felt like it was a sign that this was the house and she needed to continue with the process. And we actually just closed her last week. She's in her home, her and her daughter, and they're going to have their first Christmas in their home. And, it's just stories like those. And those are just a couple. There's lots of tearjerker stories. There's lots of tears at these closings, lots of first time generation home buyers. So not only are we changing lives, like we get the honor to be a part of these people's stories, to learn about their families. And it's just frequent reminders for us to just always be grateful and it's a reminder how good God is, not to get all religious, but
Oh,
yeah.
well, Jessica, I think you are so inspirational to, I hope, so many people
Thank
on this call. And I don't know if you've noticed, but you've got 99 people here listening to you today. And I know Annie's going to be, circling this out to everyone who signed up for them to share it. But I'm really wondering what maybe suggest before we open it up for more questions. And I know there's quite the extensive chat, which I can't see, but what suggestions do you have? If you have lending and real, you have a room full of lending and real estate professionals who are new to the program, what suggestions you have and what advice do you have for the folks that are on this call today?
Spread the word, tell everyone about it. Like literally tell everyone, anyone willing to sit and have a conversation with you, tell them about it. We have an obligation to get out here in community and spread the word about this program, because we can't be frustrated about the challenges if we're not going to spread the solution. And so I feel like this may not be everyone's solution, but it has the ability to impact the masses. And so the more people that are out spreading the word, the bigger impact that we can have. And this, I feel like, is a big piece of bridging that gap, the wealth gap that we see in underserved communities, and like the power's in our hands. And so I know that collectively and collaboratively, we can do this and have a huge impact.
Uh, well, Jessica, thank you so much for the words of wisdom
Yeah.
and like I like what you said, hope, right? That
Right.
we can give to home buyers. I know there's a lot going on in the chat. Andy, do you want to
Sure.
go through the chat or?
Yeah, some of them, most of the questions are being answered by Dietrich as we're going along, so I feel pretty good about that, but I'll grab a couple. I just want to say, like you said, Lisa, Jessica, thank you so much. Despite a down market, it doesn't matter. Like what you're doing is an absolute inspiration to everybody on this call, whether you're a lender, a realtor, a potential client. I just want to say thank you. You took something, a gift, and you ran with it, and you are spreading the word. So thank you very much for doing that. You are addressing home ownership, affordability, housing units, all of those things that we've been trying to solve, the problems that we've been trying to solve. This is like the perfect example of one way in which we can address the housing shortage and the affordability crisis. So thank you for all the hard work that you're doing and all the lives you're impacting in such a positive way. Lisa, I did have a quick question for you before I jump. We worked with PHHL in the past when I was with Home Street Bank, and I'm
Okay.
because this is such a unique program. I don't know of any other state that's offering this type of program up to $150,000, 20% down, closing costs paid for. Can you just kind of share just real quick the background, like where's the inspiration from this program and like how long did it take? Because I want people to really understand this is unique and it's special to our state and we should take.
Yeah. No, so I think, we are very intentional in Washington State. We're a very unique state. And, I personally first heard about special purpose credit programs at the beginning of COVID. I was on a webinar with the National Fair Housing Alliance and they were doing training. They'd worked with, some of the different presidential administrations over the years and had this full packet. And so this was at the very beginning of COVID. I sent it to my attorney and I said, how can we do something like this in our state? And she came back and said, Lisa, there's no way you can do something like this in our state. It would take a legislative change, legislative support. It will take a whole village. And I don't know what happened, but all the stars aligned. We started working with Frank Chop and with Representative Taylor and with the whole Black home and homeownership initiative. I'm tongue-tied. It gives me so much joy to talk about it. But we formed a whole collaboration and the legislation was done. Has it been 2 years now since it's passed? Yeah, and it was crazy that it passed because usually when you have especially this kind of legislation, it takes years to get it passed through the legislature. We passed this in one session. So kudos to all of our partners, all of our legislators who came out pro. The very first hearing on this legislative hearing was a 2-hour hearing led by Denny Heck. That never happens. That never happens. It was supported by Washington mortgage bankers, by the, our realtor associations. We had such a great partnership with so many across the state, and that's what pushed it across the finish line. On top of that, once it passed, in order to do this narrowly tailored special purpose credit program, it takes a study, not just a little study, an intense study. That's why you have a 197-page study that details everything, because it needs to be able to withstand legal challenges. And so the study took over 9 months. We did have a number of forums that were open to the public to comment then on the programs. I know many of you participated, including Jessica. We had folks testifying from all across the state on the program. So it took, once the study was done, we had roughly a 4-month period to get the program onto the street by July 1st, which is incredible. No other state, as Andy mentioned, has done this. There are other special purpose credit programs throughout the nation, but none by a housing finance agency, and they're very, very small in comparison. I know of a couple other programs that are not special purpose credit programs, including the California Dream program, that are first generational homebuyer programs, but nothing that is race-based. We are, again, the first race-based DPA program within the country by a state housing finance agency. So you could get me going talking forever, Andy, just on that. So I thank you for letting me have a long-winded answer.
Well, that's great. Thank you. I think it's really great information to have if people are considering, do I want to jump into this program and start talking to everybody about it and spreading the gospel, as Jessica says. I do want to go through a few of the questions, if that's okay. First of all, yes, if you registered for this recording, you will be emailed a link of the recording, or if you registered for this event. And also, we will post this on the WMBA education website. So anybody that wants it will have access to it. Just stay tuned, as that link will be sent out. A couple of the other questions are, okay, yes, and Dietrich did answer. The last class I attended did not include the Covenant program. Is there a specific class for that? Yes, it is the advanced DPA training, and that link is in the chat. So if you want to be able to offer this program, you will need to be going through that additional training. And a question, did I hear that right? No MI because their primary mortgage is only 80% loan to value?
Yep, that's correct. As long as it isn't above the $150,000 limit, yes.
And then a couple quick questions about, you can buy the rate down. So maybe you guys can touch on that as well. Can you go a little bit deeper on are there any nuances to the closing costs being covered?
And Jessica, I think you should answer that.
Yeah, so the program covers all your standard closing costs for a mortgage. And so a lot of the times the agents do an amazing job of getting the seller to still make a contribution. And so what we do is we take that contribution and we email the commission to get the rate sheet for that day for the buy down. And we utilize that to do a permanent buy down. And so it's permanent buy downs that are allowed with the Covenant program. And then that further reduces the monthly mortgage payment for our clients too.
Yeah, thank you. And I think, as you mentioned, because we can pay for closing costs with this, is that helps you with the offers as well, when you maybe don't have to ask for the sellers for as much money from them. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
What other questions, Andy?
Yeah, there's a couple other ones here. This is kind of a scenario, but I think the answer will be beneficial for everybody here. When there are two buyers that co-own business who co-qualify, but only one of them is a first-time home buyer, can both be on title. And Dietrich can answer, yes, first-time home buyers just need to have not owned a primary residence in the last 3 years. Second, I would recommend you email us at homedocs@wshfc.org to vet this particular borrower. So I guess, Lisa, that would be the same for any kind of similar scenario? or-
Yeah, because I think we would have a few more questions on that and what that means. You know, the families do need to be first-time homebuyers, but there's different nuances to that, and that's what Dietrich's trying to sleuth out. So every situation is unique, and this can get very, very complicated very quickly. So don't be shy with the questions. You know, we want to help you with your specific scenarios up front before you go under contract. Again, you don't want to be promising this amount of down payment assistance to have it backfire on you. That's not how we want to set families up for success, and getting the family history taken care of, getting pre-approved. I can't emphasize that enough.
We had a question from, thank you. We had a question from Janet about marketing pieces. Dietrich did post the page that has marketing pieces, but or Lisa, maybe you could, and Jessica, you guys could share what you've used or what's effective.
Yeah, I'll start and pass it to Jessica. We do have some marketing pieces that are on our website that you can use. I believe you can brand it as well. So we encourage you to use the marketing pieces that are already there. If your lending institution does happen to develop their own piece, it does need to be pre-approved by the commission before you distribute that. So please send it to us. And I know Jessica's done all of her own marketing, which goes way, way beyond what we've done. So go ahead.
Yeah, I just kind of took some information from the website and created my own marketing piece. So that's what we've utilized, and we co-brand it with our realtor partners so that they can then take that piece and market the program as well.
So in that
She
case,
got it approved.
It's approved.
if you have that template and you plug in other co-branded partners,
Mm-hmm.
Lisa, you guys are okay with it because the template is approved?
Yes, yes, and our template does allow, you know, folks to put in their own branding as well. So
Here's
yeah,
a-
take a look at our stuff first just to make sure. I think Jessica even did her stuff before we came out with ours
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
why,
So
because they hadn't come out yet. So I was like, I need to make something. So we did it. So
we were busy getting the program up, so
Yeah.
the marketing took another few weeks.
Great. Here's a good one, especially the way things are evolving with higher density and zoning changes in our state that will be in effect after January. In case everybody is not aware, like zoning laws will be in effect for the whole state, not just municipalities, effective January. And I don't think everybody knows that. And I do think it will have a significant impact going forward. And we're talking about single family ADU-DADU type of situations, or making multiple units in what used to maybe only be allowed a single family home. But this question is about that. You know, if a family wanted to buy something together, like a main and a dadu or a duplex, can they qualify or buy and close at the same time on this product or program?
So if I'm understanding, if there's already an ADU or DADU in existence, can they use this program? Yes, as long as they're not also combining it with our house key program, but yes. We can do more than one unit, we can do ADUs. House key, probably not, it just depends. But yes, if but if you're talking about construction of it, you're not talking about that, okay.
Yeah, no construction lending.
Okay, yeah, we don't do construction, but if a person is buying a 1 unit or 2 units or an ADU-DADU, as long as that's allowed by the first mortgage type, we are okay with that. As long as it's FHA, VA, Fannie and Freddie are good with it, we're good with it too.
Do buyers need to show proof that they attended a commission home buying class as part of the qualifications for the program?
As with any loan you do at the commission, homebuyer education is always required. It does require one of the commission sponsored certificates. So yes, yes, and yes. That's the first step in the home buying process, is to send home buyers to homebuyer education. It's so important. Keeps them prepared with that information, right, Jessica?
Nice. We did get a comment. Somebody just signed up for your class on Monday at 9 a.m. So that's encouraging to hear. There's a question on interest rates for this covenant program. Could you guys talk about that as well? Is there a max CLTV? Well, I guess it would be 100% plus, right?
Well, yeah, it's the CLTVs all follow Fannie, Freddie, Gini guideline, HUD guidelines. We don't have any overlays if that's what you're asking about that. Interest rates are posted on our website. You can choose from multiple interest rates. So, again, if you've gone to our training, we go into detail on that at training. There's a lot of different rates. I encourage you to go to our rates page and check it out. You're going to see home advantage rates, house key rates, covenant rates, full range of selection, depending upon what you're looking for.
Awesome. Dietrich did enter 105% CLTV max, which to your
Which
point,
is obviously there's different definitions for different first mortgage types. Fannie and Freddie both allow 105% combined loan to value. So that works for us. At the end of the day for the commission, we're looking to be able to pool that loan with Fannie, Freddie, or Ginnie. If we can do that, we do that regardless of credit score, DTI. We do not have overlays to our program of that kind. We're looking to say, hey, can we pull that loan at the end of the day with the investor? If the answer is yes, 99% of the time we can do that.
that's great. And Jessica, a quick follow-up question on the rates. What are you finding when you're closing these covenant loans? What are clients typically paying compared to a 20% down, 80% loan to value conventional loan in interest?
That's a question for Jessica, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
You mean
Compared
in
to that.
terms of what the rates are?
Yes, please.
So rates are typically somewhere in your sixes, and in my opinion, they're very comparable to your standard market rate if you were to put your own money down. And that's what also makes this program amazing. You don't really see a lot of buffer in the rates. So
That's awesome.
So I want to add one more thing to what Jessica said. When the commission has pricing, it's an all-in price. There are no add-ons to pricing for maybe you have in the open market. We don't have the LLPAs for property type or for loan to value. It's an all-in price, period.
and that's why it's also amazing, especially for your clients that have those lower credit scores where they would see a bump in rate because of that. That just doesn't apply with this program. Everyone gets the same rate if they're in the same FHA or conventional program. So it's great.
And that applies regardless of covenant or if you're just doing a regular home advantage or house key loan. We don't have add-ons to our rates. Dietrich has something to say. He's got his hand up. He's so patient.
Hey, Lisa, could you, Celeste brought up a point on income calculations. Could you just clarify how income is computed as far as qualifying for the covenant DPA?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to talk about income. So the commission does not calculate income. Your underwriter will calculate it per FHA, VA, Fannie and Freddie guidelines. Whatever income you use on your loan approval, we will take that number with no questions asked. So again, we need to be able to pool that loan with the investor at the end of the day.
Great. And do all the borrowers on the application have to have an ancestor that goes back to 68, or just one of them?
Just one needs to have an ancestor that goes back. I don't think Jessica would ever speak to me again if yeah, only one person on the note and deed of trust needs to have that ancestor pre-existing.
Great, thanks.
So somebody brought up the saleability, which you touched on, Lisa. Have you run into anything? Is there any saleability concerns or issues on the back end?
No. I mean, when the loans come through, we do check to make sure you have an actual loan approval. If you do, we should be able to get that done for you. So
I guess the nuance here is, does the commission, if movement originates and closes the loan, is that a commission loan that you guys sell, or is it movement that sells to in a
okay. Movement will sell the loan after closing these. So these loans are all reserved on the commission's reservation system. After loan closing, Movement Mortgage and all of our lenders will sell that loan to our master loan servicer. Our master loan servicer will purchase that loan from the lender, reimbursing them for their first mortgage and the second mortgage. And this is no matter what program you use. And our master servicer is the one who will pool that loan with the investor.
So it's a commission loan in that sense.
It's a
But-
commission loan. The first and second belong to the commission. You're selling it, servicing, released.
Great, thank you. So the any lender should not have any concern about any saleability issues because you guys are buying it regardless.
Well, it has to be sellable. So if we go to pull that loan with Fannie Mae and Fannie Mae says, no, you can't pull that loan, you're going to be repurchasing that first and second. We have to be able to pull the loan. So if your underwriter blew it for whatever reason,
Sure, yes.
which is true with any investor that
There's a question asking about, do realtors need to take a special class to offer this? Dietrich answered
Yeah.
this.
yeah, no,
But they'll gain from the knowledge if they did want to take the class.
absolutely. We welcome everyone in our trainings and the more knowledge is key.
Mhm. Sorry, I'm moving a couple long questions.
Yeah, no worries. You guys have excellent questions, so keep them coming. You definitely have my contact information. And Dietrich, will you put your contact information in the chat as well?
Sure
If
thing.
you haven't already. Never be shy to reach out. We're always here to answer questions. This is your one chance this is your one chance to hear from Jessica because
Oh,
she's
I
giving
have a
away all her
question.
trade secrets.
Can I ask a question? So if my son in a mixed marriage passes away, is his wife eligible for the program?
So it goes back to who was here prior to 1968.
Right, right.
So if they had a child, right? So well, I don't know who's who. So it's based upon who was here prior to 1968 and their lineage and who that is.
So I understand that, but my child, I've been here,
Mhm.
my child would be eligible, but if he died before they bought, would his wife be eligible?
Her direct descendants would need
No.
to be eligible.
Okay, so okay, so the answer is no. That
The answer in that situation would be no, correct? I'm sorry, not knowing what the race of the other person is, so I don't want to make an assumption.
Quick question, if somebody has been licensed or they went through the training, they got to offer these products in the past, do you have a time limit, if you haven't originated anymore, people are
Yeah, no, once someone has been to our regular Home Advantage or House Key, our regular commission home loan class, we don't have a time limit on that. However, you do need to also attend the Covenant training class on specifically for this program to originate this loan. And we've only been offering this class since June. So you would need to take that class.
Okay, well, I am going to just close here because we are at the top of the hour. Jessica, thank you so much. Really, I don't say it lightly. Your story is really an inspiration. And, thank you for all the good and hard work that you're doing here to have that positive impact in our communities throughout the state. Thank you very much. And Lisa, likewise, Dietrich and the whole team at the commission, you guys keep fighting the good fight, and we're very appreciative of all your efforts. This is not something to be taken lightly and not something that can be easily done. So kudos to you guys. What an accomplishment to launch this program this summer. I do want to just mention a couple of things very quickly. We do have the WMBA holiday party next week on Tuesday. That's at Moss Bay Hall in Kirkland. It's just going to be a reason for us all to get together and celebrate holiday cheer. We do have an income property luncheon with Matthew Gardner. That's on January 15th. That he's talking about his 2025 economic forecast. And then in January, we also have our monthly program that will be moderated by Sharon Knowles. This is a great topic that any of us, and Jessica took the ball and ran with it before this topic came up, but it's reinventing yourself and staying relevant. Better representative, Jessica. So that's January 21st over in Seattle. Thank you all for joining us. Again, you'll get an email with the link of the recording, and we will be posting it on our website. And we look forward to expanding our virtual Lunch and Learn offerings in the future. We are committed to a quarterly Lunch and Learn with Lisa and the commission. And thank you guys all. Appreciate your partnership and your hard work and dedication to realize that dream of home ownership.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks,
We
everybody.
appreciate you.
Take care.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.